Welcome to Quarantine Spook Show. I want to paint a portrait real quick. This is live from Peacock Parlor. The fire is crackling in the background. The streets are deserted at night with the exception of the occasional car. Candles are lit. Cats are abound. And the virus goes on outside. As many things as the virus can take away. It can't take away our spooks. I'm Kerezsi, and again, this is Quarantine Spook Show. I'll be playing a set of improvised stories. All of these are titles that I've never seen before. If you'd like to submit a title, you can email quarantinespookshow@gmail.com. Feel free to send a barrage of them and I'll filter them in to a hat of some sort and read them as I go on and read these stories. And if you want more updates, you can follow Quarantine Spook Show on Twitter @QuarantineSpook. And our RSS feed is imminent for this to be in podcast form. And that should be up in the next week or so. In the meantime, I have some spooks for you. And our first story for the evening is called Lolita's Garden. Two pals wandered in the Hollywood district of Portland, Oregon. It was a Wednesday night. Not too many people were out. The bars were open and people were having drinks, having a hell of their time in their own spheres and their own experiences. And Thaddeus and Jean walked together, crossing intersections, waiting for the walk sign to come up even though there are no cars to go by. And Thaddeus turned to Jean and he asked, "Hey, have you ever seen Lolita?" Jean pondered and thought, "Is that the Stanley Kubrick movies?" As much as he enjoyed streaming movies and television shows and whatnot, nothing could quite top the movie-going experience at a live theater, packed with people, all waiting to have their minds blown by whatever was going to come on the screen. So Jean was like, "Alright, so you're itching to see Lolita at the Hollywood Theater?" And Thaddeus said, "Yeah, why not? We just got back from the bar, the Moon and Sixpence. We were going to go to another bar somewhere in the area, but let's just see a movie." And Jean said, "Alright, I'm buying." So Thaddeus and Jean, they enter the lobby of the Hollywood Theater. It's almost as empty as the streets. But a lot of Lolita enthusiasts were gathered around in the theater. A lot of Kubrick heads. That's what I call Kubrick fans. Hollywood tended to play a lot of Kubrick films, such as 2001: A Space Odyssey and such as that and so forth. But everyone was going to see Lolita. Thaddeus and Jean, they got their tickets, got some popcorn, some beer, and they went to the theater on the upper floor for Lolita. And they went in and they noticed that the theater was sold out. And I was like, "Oh, that's strange. Well, we got our ticket anyway. I don't see how why would this theater be packed if we got our tickets, unless someone snuck in?" So they told the front desk about it, and they said they'd see what they could do. But, when the attendant went to ask everyone to see their ticket, everyone already had their ticket. So Gene and Thaddeus just said, it's pretty strange. Must have been a misprint or something. And the attendant looked at them. He's been in the theater for a while. He says that he's volunteered there the longest. And Thaddeus just thought, that was neat, and Gene concurred. So the attendant said, hey, we're doing more than one showing of Lolita. And Thaddeus and Gene said, oh yeah? And the attendant said, yeah, you can go see our theater on the 3rd floor. And Gene thought, wait a minute, I didn't know the Hollywood Theater had a 3rd floor. I thought there was only 2. There's the larger theater in the 1st floor with a lot of more of the mainstream pictures that may play, or the shows that may draw in a larger audience, and then the smaller theaters up above for movies that's been on the run for a while, or things that maybe people were possibly less inclined to see. But the attendant said, oh no, we got a 3rd floor. You can't see it from the street, but it exists, I assure you. And Thaddeus was like, alright, cool. I mean, the Hollywood Theater is really cool. I'd like to explore it as much as possible, as well as the rest of cinema history. And Gene was just like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, fuck it, let's go to the 3rd floor. I don't have any reason not to go to a mysterious 3rd floor that I'd never heard of until just now. So the attendant, alright, follow me, the attendant said. So he led him to a door next to one of the theaters. It was an old door. He had to use a key to unlock it. Right this way. He escorts them up the stairs, and they're walking. A bit windier than they expected, this stairwell. But when the stairwell ended, it led right to another theater. Larger than the 2 smaller theaters on the 2nd floor. And the Hollywood Theater certainly committed to an old-fashioned way of seeing movies, but this theater looked old. Hollywood was known for using a lot of renovations to spruce up their movie-going experiences, but this just looked, straight from the 1940s, and it was almost dusty even. And Gene was the one to inquire, why does this doesn't seem well kept, I see some boxes in the corner over there, it looks like you're kind of using this for storage. And the attendant nodded and says, yeah, well, we're working this theater up, We usually don't like to publicize it, especially on the big screen. So the movie starts, and the first shot is of a garden. It's a modest garden. It's outside of a house. It has a wide array of colors of flowers, different types of flowers. It has roses, lilies, lilacs. Truly a thing of beauty. And it just stayed on the screen for about 5 minutes. And Gene was like, alright, well, I guess Kubrick's pretty, he likes to really drive into the experience of a movie, so I guess this was just like his thing he did, Then another 5 minutes went by, and if you didn't know any better, he'd say it was just raw footage of this garden. And then Thaddeus leans to Gene, and he says, this isn't Lolita. And Gene's just like, what do you mean? Like, this isn't Lolita, this isn't the movie, I don't know what this is. Well, maybe it's like a preview or something, or maybe something, some sort of promotion thing? No, I have, this looks like live footage, right? Yeah. And Gene's just like, alright, well, maybe we can, try to, stand in the other Lolita theater or something. And Thaddeus is like, no, let's keep watching. Let's see where this goes. And Gene's just like, alright, reluctantly. So they're watching. Another 5 minutes go by in the garden, and the wind picks up a little bit more. And then someone enters the shot. We can't see their face. It's someone wearing a dress, picking some flowers. And then they leave the frame. And then the frame changes to a cemetery. And it just shows a barrage of tombstones, and graves. There's a funeral happening far in the background. Everyone was wearing black suits and black dresses. One person had a collared cotton shirt that was gray and then had a tie on it. But then it shows a frame of the person with the dress walking. And she held the flowers. She held roses, lilies, and lilacs. And she followed a cobblestone path. And then she approached two tombstones side by side. And she left flowers by their graves. And the name said Thaddeus and Jean. And Jean was just like, oh, whoa, this is ridiculous. What is this? And Thaddeus was just like, yeah, this is good footage. Like, no, like, that's our names, dude. Like, what's going on? And Thaddeus was just like, I don't know. We should get out of here or ask someone. And Jean was like, yeah, let's get out of here. And Thaddeus was like, wait, I changed my mind. Let's just keep watching. I want to see how this movie ends. And Jean was just like, it ends with us dead. Come on. No, this is after we're dead. Like, think about it. If this is some spooky ring shit, like, this takes place after we die. How many people have ever seen footage of anything after they're dead? And Jean's just like, that's pretty cool, I guess. But this is still a bad idea. I mean, this is obviously a spooky thing beyond our grasp. We should probably just get out of Dodge. And Thaddeus was like, no, that's probably what they want, and then someone spooky's gonna get us. So if someone spooky is gonna get us, let's just watch the footage and see how this ends. And Jean's just like, God damn it, Thaddeus. That's such a goddamn good argument. Who else can see past their death? And Thaddeus was just like, no one. And Jean was just like, alright. But after the movie's over, we just book it. Even through the window, I don't care. And Thaddeus was just like, alright, deal. So they keep watching the footage. And then it cuts to a funeral parlor for the cemetery. And then the camera goes through the lobby, goes through the back halls and the back offices. And pulls out a binder from a bottom shelf. Then it opens the binder, and it's a list of names of people buried. And the year was 2023. And Thaddeus was like, oh shit, that's when we die. And Jean was just like, that's not cool though, I don't want to know that. And they were just like, oh, let's keep watching. So the pages flip in the binder. And then the two names, Thaddeus and Jean, show up. Names were next to each other alphabetically. One of their Jean's last name was Heard. Thaddeus' last name was Hearing, so it was Heard and Hearing, and it was very, very convenient alphabetically. If they went to school together, they'd sit together in every classroom. So then the camera lens goes down on their names. It's in brackets, like an Excel spreadsheet. But then there's an identifier next to their names that says missing. And Jean and Thaddeus saw that in the binder that they were missing. Their bodies were missing. That's what the binder was indicating. What the filmmaker, the camcorder holder, was trying to communicate. And Jean was just like, alright, so we don't die in 2023. And Thaddeus was like, no, we just go missing. That doesn't necessarily mean we're dead. And Jean was just like, well, that doesn't necessarily mean we're alive either.
Say slave ports?
Yeah.
They named it that?
Yes.
Are you fucking kidding me?
It's streaming again, but please tell me. More spooks on the way. The story ends, I swear, but
The other three ports aren't active unless something is like actively drawing power from the master port.
Okay.
So since that one's doing a laptop that's not connected to anything, that's that's why you
Gotcha.
Can we not call those slave ports? I don't
Sure.
give a fuck who named that.
All right.
Let's call them dom and sub ports.
Well, you know what?
Sure.
It's working now.
Great.
Now let's find out how Gene's and Thaddeus' story ends after that minor technical difficulty. So they see their names on the binder, and Gene just ravenously says, Thaddeus, we gotta get the balls out of here. And Thaddeus was just like, well, you know, I wanna know why we're missing. And Gene's just like, dude, come on. I guess I wanna know. Thaddeus was just like, that's right. Now let's just keep watching, see where version of Lolita, let's call it Lolita's Garden. Let's see where it goes. The camera cuts to outside the Hollywood Theater. They don't know what time of year it was in, or what year it was in. But the theater looks marginally different, a little bit, upkeep a little bit. They look at the poster and they see, movies that are about to come out that, they've never heard of before. A new Wes Anderson movie that doesn't exist yet. So then the camera goes up into the lobby, up into the second floor of theaters, uses a key to unlock the door that leads up the winding stairwell of the third theater. And then they go up to the camera goes up to the theater and shows the seats and sees two skeletons where Thaddeus and Gene were sitting. And Gene just gets up like, no, I'm out. And Thaddeus was just like, what are you doing? Come on. And Gene was just like, no, this is their death, dude. Those are our skeletons. And Thaddeus was like, well, we don't know they were our skeletons. They're wearing the outfits that we're wearing. And Thaddeus was just like, come on, Gene, I gotta tell you something. This is the best movie I've ever seen in my life. This is surreal and awesome. And if I want to die finishing it, I'm going to. But you can go. You can go ahead. Fine, I'll see it by myself. And then it will be a less remarkable movie because it's not true. And then she's just like, fine, I'm out of here. Good luck to you, Thaddeus. I'll go to your funeral. And I'll tell you tell people where the body is so you can be buried properly. So then Gene goes to the door, and it's locked. And it's like, Thaddeus, it's locked. And Thaddeus was like, did you think it would be unlocked? And Gene was just like, I guess not. Gene then tries the window in the projector room once he goes up there. And he's just like, I don't want to see this through. I want to get out of this building, you know, I want to keep living. And then he watches the projector keep showing footage of the theater and whatnot. But Gene doesn't have the heart to dismantle the projector, to end the movie, to end this possible iteration of their doom. And Gene, he's watching a movie from the projector. He's never been inside a projector room before, let alone have seen a movie from it. It's a remarkable experience. You can see the light cast from the projector, all the dust flying around the light's view. It's a remarkable experience if you ever had it. So Gene leans out the window opening, and he's just watching the movie, and he's just like, you know what? I'll see this to the end. So it shows more footage of the theater, you know. It also starts to turn into like a tour kind of footage thing. It's like footage of someone cleaning a garage, you know. Goes through boxes, goes through picks some pipes and whatnot. Some drafted plans of the organ reinstallation. And then it shows a death certificate of the attendant that they met earlier, who allegedly died in 1987. And Thaddeus was just like, saw that coming. And Gene was just like, Thaddeus. And Thaddeus was just like, come on, just come down and sit with me. And Gene was like, fine, if we're gonna do this, let's do it together. So Gene joins him back where he was sitting, and they were watching a movie, eating the popcorn and drinking the beer. And they get a little woozy. And And then Gene suddenly looks at the beer, and he says, "Thaddeus, I think this beer was poisoned." And Thaddeus is just like, "Yeah, I think so. I definitely feel like I've been poisoned, despite the evidence to the contrary." And Gene was like, "Alright, maybe we weren't poisoned. Maybe the popcorn was poisoned." And Thaddeus was just like, "Yeah, that could be true. Both of those explanations, it indeed could happen." And then all of a sudden the movie cuts out. It ends. And then Thaddeus is just like, "Alright, well, this movie's over. This is the part where we die now." And Gene was just like, "No, I think I just have an upset stomach. I don't think it's poison." And Thaddeus was like, "I mean, it could be. I mean, we're supposed to die here, allegedly." And then it's just like, Gene goes to the door again, tries to get out, and he's just like, "Oh, hey, it's unlocked." And Thaddeus is like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, let's get out of here." And Thaddeus was just like, "Well," and Gene was like, "What?" I mean, what made the movie good was that it was true. That was our death. If we just waltz out of here, it's not a very interesting movie, is it? And Gene was just like, "Thaddeus, I'm booking it. I'm getting out of here." And Thaddeus was just like, "Yeah, you know what? Let's go. This is a bit silly at this point." So they go down the stairs and they see a attendant waiting there. And Gene was just like, "Hey, so what was the deal with that movie we saw? It wasn't Lolita. It wasn't what we were planning." And the attendant was like, "No, it's called Lolita's Garden." And Gene was just like, "Oh, well, what's the story behind that movie?" And the attendant was like, "Well, it's just someone who worked for the Hollywood one day, did a little student film of sorts, just did a bunch of footage and wanted to make it spooky and wanted to pull a prank of people who would see the movie, and then they cut their names into the film, and then it would be like watching their death, essentially. And we grabbed some shirts that look similar to yours, and we just took your names and just scribbled with them real quick on a piece of paper. So that movie was being made in real time while you were watching it. That's why the footage took so long to wrap up, And Gene was just like, "Oh, that seems like a lot of work for, something so small." And the attendant was like, "Yeah, but was it worth it, though?" And Thaddeus was just like, "Hell yeah, that was really cool." And Gene was just like, "Alright, well, we better get out of here. I guess it's getting pretty late, it's past midnight. We ought to head back." And the attendant was like, "Yeah, you should come see a movie here again, You think it'd be great?" And Gene was just like, "Yeah, sure, I love the Hollywood." And the attendant was like, "Yeah, but I love small talk, but we're closing soon." And Gene was like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess we'll leave." He's like, "Yeah, you gotta get out of here." So Gene was just like, "Alright, we'll go." So Gene and Thaddeus, they stand out the theater. Thaddeus just turns to Gene and was like, "Well, as it turns out, nothing spooky happened at all. It was just a live, just a live spooky experience we were experiencing, being made up on the fly. Who would have thought?" And Gene was like, "Yeah, it's kind of weird that we didn't die at the end of this." But then they looked from the street at the theater more closely, and it didn't have a third floor. The end.
Ooh. I'm gonna take a break from the Hollywood theater, which will be easy because we're quarantined.
Yes, this story took place in a world that wasn't quarantined. I thought that'd be a little
alternate dimension Hollywood theater.
Mm-hmm.
If I keep laying out here, will you keep rubbing parts of my body?
Yes.
Oh, great. That's improved.
That was a neat little story that took place in a world outside of any sort of COVID COVID-related shenanigans. Alright, this next story is called The Snitch. There's a stark difference between starting off in elementary school when you weren't around the curse, and then going into 5th grade into middle school, where everyone kept talking about violence and sex and grand concepts that they knew nothing about, but it was all thrown at little Leon at once. He just wanted to, he didn't like the bullies. He didn't like a lot of the people that he met there. He just wanted to get by, like any sort of kid would. There was one day where he got in a fight with other kids. A fight as in 2 kids jumped him on his way walking back from school. And they roughed him up so much that his jacket was torn and whatnot. And then Leon was just like, you know what, I can't take it anymore. I don't know if I can handle school anymore, but I don't have anyone else to talk to about these school shenanigans. This is a true hardship for my young life. So as he was going to bed that night, he had trouble sleeping, He essentially wandered his house and whatnot. So he woke up the next morning before sunrise, and he just sat on his porch, thinking about things, thinking about middle school and how hard that was. And far in the distance, on the edge of his yard against the trees, his house was next to the woods somewhat, and his school wasn't far, only a 10-minute walk. But out at the edge of the trees, he saw a cloaked figure with the head of a goat and horns. And he just stood there, very tall, very stoic. But the kid in a half-dream state walks up to the goat figure, and he asks, "Who are you?" And he says, "No need to worry about that. You can just call me your new friend." And Leon says, "Okay. I'm skeptical. I don't like talking to strangers, especially ones just hanging out in my yard and whatnot." "Well, no need to worry about that, How about I earn my trust with you?" And Leon says, "What do you mean?" And the cloaked goat figure says, "Well, those 2 kids that jumped you yesterday, I'll make sure something bad happens to them when you get back to school this day." Leon was just like, I don't know what else you can do, whatever you do to them, they'll still be dicks. And the goat person was just like, just you wait. And then he waved his hands and he vanished with a blink. So Leon had trick cereal that morning, and he went to school and took a math class with some preliminary to algebra. Not quite algebra, but a lot of numbers were in it, like math class that you would take at 5th grade. A lot of classes in 5th grade are kind of useless in the context of adult living. So it's just a lot about remember George Washington? It's just yeah, we know about George Washington, he's on the dollar bill, that's cool. And there's one history class where he learned about Scandinavia, and that was pretty cool. That was an alright class. So when lunch comes around, he sees the 2 kids that jumped him, and he tried to avoid eye contact with them, He wouldn't learn until years later that it was he incorporated a lot of prison habits into his daily comings and goings in middle school, just trying not to get too much attention from the wrong people. He didn't want to be messed with to any capacity. So then he sees the two kids sitting at a lunch table and doesn't really pay too much mind to them. He's just like drinking, just some grape juice and some pizza, just in the lunch line. It wasn't great pizza, but again, he didn't know that until years later. So the kids are just sitting there and whatnot. Eventually Leon just starts thinking about the goat person, what did the goat person mean about that? And then he hears two screams, and it was both the kids, and they're being chased by bees. And kids like, bees in the school? And then everyone's just like, bees! So everyone starts running around trying to go for the exits, but the bees are just particularly chasing these two kids. Outside, they get stung a lot, no severe wounds other than getting attacked by a lot of bees. Uncomfortable and painful for everyone, but certainly not fatal in this context. Thank goodness, Leon thought, but he secretly liked that the bullies that wounded him so got a comeuppance of some sort. So he goes to bed again, and then he wakes up at dawn, and then he sees the goat person again. And this time he approaches the goat person with less hesitance. And he's just like, hey, did you send those bees after those two bullies? And the goat person said, yes, I did. And Leon's just like, oh, well, that's pretty cool of you. I guess I trust you, because you'll do favors for me and whatnot. That's pretty cool for a seemingly satanic goat person. You look like someone from a Slayer album cover. And the goat person was just like, I don't know if that's a compliment or insult, but, whatever. But, if you want to be friends, Leon, I need you to do things for me, too. Friends help each other out. And Leon was just like, alright, well, what can I help you with, new friend? And Leon was just like, well, you go to school. It's a Catholic school. A lot of the kids out there wear uniforms and get taught about the Bible and whatnot, as well as George Washington. So, but I need you to tell me when people don't like it, when people do things against Satan. Leon's just like, Satan, yeah, Satan. But everyone in a Catholic school doesn't like Satan. And Leon said, yeah, I know, that's their problem. But if you see anyone, tampering with black magic, trying to incorporate Christian experience, Christian, pagan type of things with satanic magic, anyone who's trying to do things against Satan's will, I need you to tell me. Exorcisms, anything like that, etc. And Leon's just like, oh, well, I've never seen any of that before. I don't know how I would even notice that when I saw it happening. Just anyone just trying to trying to adapt pagan rituals in a Christian context. If anyone adapts any pagan rituals into a Christian context, you gotta tell me. I don't want those Christians having anything to do with those pagan rituals. And Leon was just like, well, what about Easter? Especially Easter, the goat person said. I need you to tell me this. And Leon was just like, well, if I see anyone painting eggs, I'll let you know, but Easter's not for a while. And the goat person was just like, it's not about Easter. Just anyone just doing, black magic stuff in a Christian context, just tell me. Anyone doing a ritual, anything in those walls, just let me know about it. And Leon's just like, alright, I guess I can do that. And Leon just went to school that day, not really understanding the full grasp of what the goat person was talking about. He didn't know what the word pagan meant. But he's, alright, so any rituals that happen in the school, I'll tell goat person. Simple enough. So Leon just goes about his day for the next 2 weeks, not seeing the goat person. And then one day he's he sees one of the bullies. He passes him in the hall. He still has a lot of scars from the bee stings that happened. You know, he kind of reminded him of a never-ending story. You know, when all those bullies at the end of the movie get their comeuppance and whatnot. It's like us. It's like a cheeky 80s movies revenge. You know, like a Disney Channel revenge. I guess that's what those bees were. Or maybe The Craft, which was a bit darker. But you know. So Leon saw the person with the bee stings. And Leon just kind of erupted. And he's just like, hey, you're an asshole. And the bully was just like, oh, come on, I just got attacked by bees. I'm on the verge of changing my ways. And Leon was just like, I don't care, you suck. But a teacher heard that. And the teacher was just like, alright, Leon, you're getting detention. And he's just like, why? Everyone else curses. And the teacher was like, yeah, but I didn't hear them. You gotta stay after school. And then Leon's just like, alright, fine, I'll stay after school. He realized sitting in detention that interacting with this seemingly satanic, most likely some sort of alchemist pagan goat person, was helping his confidence a little bit, you know, giving him a bit of gumption, you know, and confronting his problems, which is probably a good way to address them. So Leon sat and, you know, just waited out detention, did homework, because you're allowed to do that, and he was just like, oh, I should get detention all the time, because this is a perfect window to do homework, and then I have a whole day free. And during this strand of thought, he was just like, alright, the teacher was like, alright, detention's up, time to go. And Leon's like, alright. So Leon's just, you know, walking with his backpack alone in the hall. He's gonna walk from school again that day. And then he sees a janitor's closet with the door cracked open. And he hears a chanting come out of it. And he's just like, oh, that's weird. And then he opens the janitor's door. And there's another door in like the back wall of it that's open, like a cellar door. And Leon's just like, oh, that's even stranger. I shouldn't go down there, but I want to help out my goat friend. If I didn't have that goat friend, I wouldn't be doing this, but I'm going to. So he goes down a small flight of stairs, nothing too deep, subterranean. And then he goes into a basement area, and he sees a ritual happen. It's a Christian exorcism. They're trying to exorcise one of his fellow students when he was learning about Scandinavia. He recognized her, and it was a very classic exorcism. You know, it had the cross. It had the power of Christ compels you. And Leon's just like, oh, I gotta tell the goat person about this. But he didn't know how to contact the goat person, so he's just like, oh, well, how do I do that? So he goes to the library in his Catholic school, and he goes to the forbidden section with all the occult knowledge and whatnot. And he pulls a book with a cover that resembled the goat person, and he sees it in there, and he's just like, alright. He finds a ritual. It was published by the Archdiocese, and he finds a ritual to contact the goat person. He performs the ritual. It's just a simple chant and sprinkling some salt and other herbs that he found in the kitchen of the school. It's a nice school. They have a wide array of spices and whatnot, and he found all of them very quickly. So he summons the goat person, and Leon's just like, goat person, goat person. And goat person is just like, I have a name, you know. And Leon was just like, well, there's a ritual happening in the basement. It's an exorcism. I think it's Christian driven. I think this fits this category of the thing you were talking about Christianity adapting paganism and kind of just like, you know, using it for their own needs, not really understanding the context of such rituals. And the goat person was just like, alright, great, thanks. So he disappears in a blink and returns, and it's just like, alright, I've taken care of it. And Leon was just like, what? And then Leon goes downstairs, and the basement's covered in blood, and 3 inches of it. And then Leon's just like, who are you actually? And goat person was just like, I am Satan, as a matter of fact, the Christian iteration of Satan. I'm not working on behalf of pagan rituals. I'm just Satan doing Satan stuff in a Christian context. And Leon was just like, oh shit. And then goat person was just like, yes. And you used that ritual in these walls to summon me. And that book was summoned by the Archdiocese. That book was written by the Archdiocese. So I must do the same to you, what I did to them. And Leon was just like, I guess I shouldn't have been a snitch.
Well done.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you get.
No snitches.
Yeah, snitches do get stitches. That is the that is a moral
Snitches turn into switches.
that is the moral of the story. I don't think there's any sort of snitch story that has a different moral, really. It's kind of, a good solid consistent consequence of snitches getting stitches to some capacity.
Snitches turning snitches.
Mm-hmm.
That's accurate.
Alright, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick and I'll be back. story shows middle school can be tough. It's hard to make good decisions at such a young age. But needless to say, good decisions at a young age are important, nonetheless.
Wow, it had a moral.
I'd like to think some of my stories have morals. They can be extrapolated at the very least. Some of them do. Not all of them, but at least some of them.
I think if there was an overreaching arch, it would be like, don't be those people.
Yeah. Let's see if this next story, the characters can make some better decisions. It's not like I'm making this stuff up, you know. Alright. This next story is called Alien Tourist Season. You know, when Archie first learned that aliens came to Earth, he thought he'd be really cool with it. But it's actually not as cool as he thought it was. It started off with one alien visiting a cornfield and then leaving, telling us other aliens. And then they came back to help out with the pandemic, to fund relief and whatnot, to do things humans so desperately needed help with. But as a vaccine is being worked on, humans are still social distancing, still quarantined. But now there are aliens everywhere. I tried to go to the Grand Canyon once. And all aliens were wearing Hawaiian shirts and just taking, just hanging out and stuff. And it's just like, oh, these aliens, quite a nice from the Grand Canyon. Hey, hi, you're working with the Grand Canyon tour group? And Archie's just like, yeah, hi. Archie was a tour group for the Grand Canyon. Was a tour guide for the Grand Canyon. And he would help humans and aliens and tell them about the history of the Grand Canyon. It's just like, oh yeah, it's big, isn't it? And see aliens take pictures and whatnot. It's just like, oh yeah, I mean, there are some places in space that have like larger canyons than this, but this is still pretty good, definitely like a feat for like Earth, And Archie was just like, yeah, it's cool. So on the phone, Archie was just like, yeah, so you're an alien, and I do tours in the Grand Canyon, but I'm off duty right now. I don't work for another 2 days. And the alien was just like, yeah, but I need you to take me on a special tour through the Grand Canyon. And Archie was just like, a special tour? And he was just like, yeah, I need to go inside of the canyon. And Archie was just like, well, I don't really have the clearance to do that, nor the hiking ability. I mean, have you seen it? It's huge. And then the alien said, well, I have some space technology. I think it can help us out maneuvering through the bottom of the canyon, but I need to get to the bottom of the canyon. It's very important. And Archie was just like, alright, I guess I can do that as like a contracting thing if you help pay me personally, because I can't do that with the company. I can just help you out with that. And the alien was just like, great, I'll see you Tuesday. And Archie was just like, well, I can't do Tuesday, what about Thursday? And the alien was just like, Thursday's not good for me, your Gregorian calendar, it's really it's a big mess. And Archie was just like, tell me about it. So they pick a day, Wednesday, between Thursday and Tuesday. And Archie meets with the alien and the alien's just like, alright, I'm ready to go. And Archie says, alright. And Archie said, hey, you mentioned you have some tools that you can, or a vehicle that can help us get down there. And the alien was just like, yeah, I got some tools. So the alien, they have a little vehicle. It's a roadside vehicle. But it could be used. It can also hover as well. So the alien's just like, oh, we can just hover down there. And Archie's just like, oh, that's intriguing. If we can hover down there, then maybe you don't need my help for it. And Archie's just like, no, I need a human to help me out with this. And Archie's just like, alright, feeling a little bit suspicious about the situation. So they hop into the vehicle and they hover down, and the alien is the one that is driving. So he's going down to the bottom, you know. And the alien says, yeah, it's right around here. Then they land at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. And there's a little opening of a small cavern over there. And Archie is just like, what is this? And the alien is just like, oh yeah, that's where I need to go. We should go together, you know, in case they need a guide or something. And then Archie says, alright, I'm not going to go a step further until you tell me what's going on. And the alien says, alright, I'm going to be frank with you, you know. I'm going to need your soul. And Archie's just like, my soul? And the alien's just like, yes, your soul. We aliens, we need human souls to, you know, power our iPods and stuff. And vehicles, etc. And also, it's used as human health. It's what we use human souls to develop the pandemic vaccine that we're working on right now. And the Archie's just like, well, I don't want to submit my soul in any way. And the alien says, it's not your choice. If you're dying or something, then we can just take it and then use it for tools. And then Archie's just like, no, I'm not abiding by that. And the alien's just like, well, everyone's souls can be recycled and used as energy to power equipment and whatnot. It's a very high density of energy, and we need that for many of our species, you know. And even people of our species also recycle our souls for the good of the rest of the society, you know. It takes many hands to lift it. Whoa, that sounds like a communist thing. And the alien's just like, I don't know what communism is, but you know, we all help each other out. That's kind of. That's.
Don't know what communism is.
The aliens, you know, they've read it in books. They know who Karl Marx is. But they're not applying communist principles to their society. Their society already kind of aligned with that a little bit, but not quite in a human context. It's a bit more complicated.
So what you're saying
not
is
quite
they
the
don't
same.
let poets lie to them.
They don't let poets lie to them. This alien species doesn't have poetry in the way we understand it. Their poetry is through infrastructure and, you know, and science and whatnot. The invention of the light bulb was a brilliant form of poetry in this alien species. So the alien says, well, so Archie, I do need your soul. We need it for energy. It's not an exclusive privilege. We aliens commit our souls all the time. And not forcibly either. It's always willingly. Mostly willingly. The moral thing to do would be willingly. But, you know, there's some aliens in the past that have just, like, taken it without permission, which is uncool. We're working on that. You know. We have our problems, too. We got some soul thieves around. So, Archie, I'll pay you the respect you deserve. Can I have your soul? And Archie's just like, no. The alien's just like, please? Archie's just like, I'm not doing it. And Archie was just like, well, if you die anyway, can I have it? And Archie was just like, I'll think about it. He's like, yeah, there's a couple of species that came to Earth before humans started to get their way of things, you know? So there's a lot of, like, technology buried in the ground and under the sea, especially under the sea. That's where a lot of it is. You should really head down there sometime instead of just, like, hanging out on land and stuff. And Archie's just like, well, I don't make those kind of decisions and I don't have access to that kind of technology. And Archie's just like, well, we can, like, let you borrow some stuff, you know, it's cool, we do that stuff all the time, you know. We're down for other species learning about their own backyard, and Archie's just like, alright, what is, are we almost there? And the alien's just like, almost. So the aliens, you know, we're Alien and Archie. They're both walking down into the lab tunnels and hallways. All this technology new to Archie, you know. It looks surprisingly 80s, which you didn't expect. And the alien was just like, oh yeah, it's pretty old technology though, all things considered. It's still intergalactic, but old nonetheless. So, eventually they go to a large room, into this large egg-shaped thing. alien says, this is what I need your soul for. And Archie asks, what is this? And the alien says, well, this is an egg incubation, and there is a being inside of here, a new species. It doesn't have the same flaws that humans have, or the same flaws that my species have. This is a fresh start for all of life in general. We've been working on it for a very long time, and we need your soul specifically, because your soul has specific soul strands. We have a very specific type of soul that we need this for the machine for. And Archie's just like, well, it sounds appealing. And the alien says, basically, if you submit your soul to this project, you'll still have sentience in this being. This being won't be you, and you won't be this being, but you'll still continue life in this being's eyes. So it's like having two lives, kind of. So you're getting one life for the price of two. Two lives for the price of one. Otherwise, you could just die and then your soul will dissipate into the infinite abyss, just like everyone else. Or it could be used for a good cause. Perhaps this could make the universe better. And your world better. So will you reconsider giving your soul for this wicked cool sci-fi project? And Archie thought about it. Seriously, he considered it. Chewed on it for about a minute or two. And they said, no, I don't want to do that. And the alien was just like, well, what do you mean? I mean, that sounds really cool. I mean, my soul won't work. If it did, I would totally do this. And Archie was just like, yeah, but you're doing the same thing humans do. You're putting all your investments on salvation, on this one easy fix that can fix everything, but that's never how life works. I don't think there's any species in the galaxy that it actually works for. You probably know this too. And the alien bit his lip and he's just like, yeah, but this time it'll work though. And Archie was like, no, it never works. You know, real constructive change takes time, takes deliberations. And then he falls to the ground and his skin becomes more pale, and then he realizes the alien is sucking out his soul. No, knock it off. But the alien keeps inhaling until eventually Archie's body ceases to be. And then the alien has Archie's soul stored in his cheeks. He's holding his breath. And then he takes a device, part of the machine, and blows into it. And then it powers the machine to a degree. And then suddenly the being grabbed the alien's throat and started choking it. And the alien's just like, oh, what are you doing? And the being is just like, it's me, Archie, you asshole. I've come to kill you because you took my soul. Without permission, by the way. So the being starts strangling the alien. And the alien's just like, I don't breathe through my neck, I breathe through my torso. And then the being's like, oh. So he grabs the torso instead and starts choking him that way. Archie was unfamiliar with this alien's anatomy, but, you know, did the best guesswork that he could based on human experiences. Eventually the being overpowered the alien, and the alien died. Archie, as the being, didn't know how to use the alien's soul for anything, to charge his iPod or something. So the being left the cavern, went back up through the Grand Canyon, and then he goes to the tour guide office for the Grand Canyon. He's just like, hey, it's me, Archie. Just want to let you know, I'm not a human anymore. I'm this alien creature now, but I'm totally ready to work whenever the next shift happens. And then he just went to work the next day.
If only the audience can see Caden's face right now.
Well, I take it you wrote the Alien Tourist season based on our previous conversation about unprecedented times.
Probably.
Who's the snitch? Is that you?
No, that was you.
Oh. Couldn't remember. That's what you get.
Mm-hmm.
Snitch.
Alright, it's getting late. I'm gonna do
It's 11:17.
But we still gotta watch Marble Hornets and all that jazz.
Yeah, I'm just saying. It's 11:17.
It is.
Pacific Standard Time.
Yes.
In Cascadia, zones 2 through 4.
That's right. That is true.
Actually, 2 through 7.
I think we're like 6 through 9 technically.
No, we're not.
No?
No, we're not.
I will be reading one more story this evening.
But seriously.
All right. This next story is called Spiders, Friend and Foe.
That is so fucking you.
Billy loved bugs. The only thing he loved more than bugs was spiders. He loved spiders. He constantly had to correct everyone that spiders weren't insects. Insects had 6 legs. Spiders had 8. Therefore, spiders were much more badass than insects. He didn't collect spiders. He would never keep them in jars or anything. But he had a barrage of different types of arachnids in his backyard. And when he saw them, what he'd do was hang out with spiders.
Yeah.
And you just hang out with them, and you just, they're just little creatures and whatnot, you know. You can just look up pictures. Why don't you just go study spiders or something?
Yeah.
And he's just like, I study life. But I don't just study spiders. I study insects. I just hang out with them, let them crawl on my fingers, let them in my house. Maybe I'll leave them some crumbs or something. And spiders some bugs. I'll leave some webs open in my house. But I love spiders. So, one day he was sitting on his, sitting next to a window, having a cup of tea and a cookie. And the spider crawled up on the windowsill, and he's just like, oh yeah, another spider, how lovely. Spiders, I think I relate to spiders more than people in a lot of ways. In fact, you little spider, are my best friend, he started to say. And the spider was just like, hey. And he was like, what? You need to knock off this spider business here. And he's just like, well, what do you mean, little spider friend? And he's just like, yeah, that's right there. Don't call me your spider friend. You don't even know me, alright? You're hanging out with all these spiders. You think you know all these spiders. Me, on the behalf of the spiders in your backyard, please leave us alone. Let us do our spider things. If any spiders come and want to do a room and board situation with the corner of your room to catch bugs and stuff, in order to keep a web in your house, that's cool. We're grateful for that. But, don't, He's just like, wait, little spider friend, come back. And the spider just starts creeping away, and then that's the end of that. Eventually, he'd go in his backyard, and he'd never see spiders. And when he saw a spider, they just turned the other way immediately. And it's just like, I always thought of myself as a friend of the spiders, like the grizzly man guy. But actually, the spiders are my foe. I don't know what to do about this. And there's a friend he went to college with who studied arachnids and whatnot, and he constantly consulted him about spider shenanigans and whatnot. So he called him, and the professor says, what is it this time? Yeah, the spiders in my backyard don't want me to hang out with them anymore. Is there any way I can change your mind? And the professor's just like, I don't, humans do their thing, spiders do their thing. maybe you shouldn't push yourself on these spiders, if you it's great to coexist and whatnot, but spiders have other shit to deal with than you wanting to hang out with them. And then the professor hung up, and he sat down really quizzically, and it's just like, really want to hang out with these spiders, So he's just like, fuck it, I just want to hang out with these spiders, I'm gonna do it. So he goes in the backyard and he does what he usually does. He picks up the spiders, lets them crawl on his fingers and whatnot, and eventually started to keep spiders in jars over time. Eventually started a collection of spiders, He didn't see it in the way of friendship as he used to, but he was just like, yeah, spiders are just something I'm really into now. And he had pet spiders, even got a tarantula, got it shipped from, where you find tarantulas and whatnot. He changed his relationship with spiders as someone just into spiders instead of someone trying to be their friend. And then one day he wakes up and his wrists are constrained by spider webs, layers and layers of them, so he can't break free. And he's just like, I'm trapped here. His ankles are the same thing, again, constrained to his bedpost. And his room is filled with spiders, wall to wall, ceiling and floor. And he's just like, what's going on? And then the first spider that confronted him on that day, having tea and a cookie, said, we told you to leave us alone. We just want to do spider shit, catch bugs and stuff, and build really fucking cool webs. Some of us may place those webs in places where people run into them, but it's a process of building webs and stuff, but we told you to just let us be. But now, we gotta do away with you. And he says, oh no, what kind of spider doom are you gonna bestow upon me? And then the spider said, well, we already did. We laid a bunch of eggs in your stomach. They should hatch at any moment. And then he says, oh my gosh, no! So he breaks out of the web, and he runs out of his room, out of his house, and he's just, I just gotta do something about these spiders. So he goes to the pharmacy across the street, and he's just like, I need something to get rid of these spiders. And the pharmacy person is just like, we don't know how to treat that. We're not a doctor. You should call an ER. And he's just like, great, good idea. So he calls the ER and he goes to the hospital and it's just like, we're being quarantined for COVID now. He's just like, shit, never mind. So he bails. So he's just like, fuck, what am I gonna do with all these spider eggs festering inside me? So he goes back to his house and he finds a gallon of milk in his fridge and he's just like, that's it. So he chugs the milk as much as he can. Eventually he vomits into the sink with the spider eggs along with it. Some of them were already hatched, already crawling into his belly. And they look up at him and they say, Father. And he's just like, what? When the spiders laid eggs in your stomach, the eggs absorbed your DNA. And now we are part you. And he's just like, okay. I didn't plan for this.
Nobody ever does.
No one ever does. Well, I got an idea. So he scoops up his spider babies, about 50 of them.
Ew.
And the other eggs as well, because they're his kin also.
He gives it to foster spiders.
Into his little tank. And he goes back into his room and he's like, hey, I don't know how many of you laid eggs in my belly, but we gotta handle some sort of custody system with these spiders. I mean, I can do weekends or half the week if you want to hang out with them the other week. But we gotta figure something out here. And then the head spider that approached him during the day, he had tea and a cookie. It was just like, well, alright, we can follow some contracts, we can make this work. we will accept you as one of us if you take care of our kin. And like the guy was just like, yeah, that sounds great. I mean, you know, I kind of have kids to take care of. I'm not gonna just like hang out with you all day, you know. And he says, all right, well, let's get to it. So he hires a lawyer and he comes by and he starts drafting a custody system, you know. Just like, all right, well, I think we can. Okay, so half the week in the backyard, half week in the house. I got some jars that they can stay in. He's like, no, we're not really in the jars. Just let us out in the open. He's like, all right, fine, that works. You know, I can dedicate a room in my house to just like having spider webs, and you guys can just like hang out there. He's like, yeah, I think the kids are really like that. You know, that'd be really cool. And it says, yeah, but what about school? Should they go to school, or are they gonna be like half human? And it's just like, no, they're gonna be spiders and whatnot. You know. I mean, they'll have human DNA, but they're not going to be human enough to, like, want to, like, do, like, human shit all the time. And it's just like, alright, well, we can take care of that. The contracts are signed, and then him and his 50 spider babies, they just live on in the house, and eventually the spider babies grow up into spider adults. And then they move on. Some of them go to college, some of them go, travel the world as just like spider people, you know, hanging out among spiders and humans. And then one day, he's gotten older, hanging out with his spider children, all 50 of them. They're all, you know, middle-aged adults, all having very fulfilling lives and families of their own. And then he's sitting, lounging on his lounge chair next to the fire, hearing it crackle in the background. And it's just like, I couldn't ask for anything more. All of you children, filled my life with so much love and joy and satisfaction. And the spider babies all agree in their own ways. They all have their own personalities, all have their own lives to deal with. And just like, yeah, that's right, Dad. You just go rest now. And he says, I think I will. So he leans back and then passes on. And then the spider babies are just like, he was a great dad.
Oh my god. That's the worst excuse for a deadbeat dad. Spider children I've ever heard. You know, like, but what was he supposed to do? Is there like fucking spider welfare office? He
Spider fair.
Spider welfare? He could have done better.
He could have.
It's a toxic masculinity story. Also rapey also.
Very, very intrusive for sure. Did not know his boundaries, considering, you know, the ways of spiders and whatnot. But also, the spiders laid a bunch of eggs in his stomach.
Vengeance. Or something.
I mean, I didn't know that Sir was going to go there. That he'd have a full, fulfilled family.
You made it up.
I know, but I don't you know.
You're the arbiter of our nightmares.
The arbiter of nightmares.
Our nightmares.
That's what quarantine spooks are all about, probably. Tune in next week.
Hope your mom's listening.
She probably is. Listening or watching to some capacity.
Hi, Lauren.
And thus concludes Quarantine Spook Show.